And we're on.
We are on. Welcome back, everybody, to another fabulous episode of Hacks, Tips, and Tricks HTT. Today we have Phillip Demuth with us, who is a partner of mine, or was a partner of mine. We were office buddies for a hot minute. And I am Casey Stiers, your downtown guru. I represent pretty much all of North Carolina, commercial and residential. And then this way, we have Halle Casey, who is out of Texas, and
Yes.
she's known for selling 100 houses in a year. So, Phillip, welcome. I'm excited to have you here today.
Yay. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
Some excitement there.
Awesome. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little background of how you got into real estate.
Yeah, I kind of fell into real estate. So I got my license originally in 2008 when I was in college, and
Ooh,
I graduated.
2008.
And then the economy crashed, and then I got into commercial real estate where I designed and sold $1 million pharmaceutical buildings for a few different European companies.
Nice.
And I did that all the way to 2017. And then I got back in real estate full-time and residential in 2017. Real estate's always been something I've been very fond and passionate over. I grew up in it. My family were builders, general contractors.
Okay, cool.
So I built houses my whole life. And I was sitting there with my uncle one day. It was like 110 degrees outside, July. I looked at him and said, "Hey, I don't want to do this anymore." So I was like, I think I'm going to go sell them instead. So that's kind of how I fell into it and got in 2018 with KW, or 2017 with KW. And then I was there for about 2 years. Then I went to EXP for about 4 years. And now I'm back at KW in Cary.
Nice.
Since then, since 2018, I've sold about 600 homes so far.
Wow.
I've had a team up to 17. And now we're down to just me and one guy, and a part-time guy. So we stay pretty busy. We still do about 100 plus homes a year on average.
Yeah.
Heavily on the list side. It's kind of our specialty. We also work with buyers, obviously, but we do more listings than anything typically. A lot of for sale by owners, expired listings is our specialty.
Nice.
So we've had a really good career in that.
Cool. That's awesome. And I saw that you used to be in pharmaceutical sales as well. And that's what I did before real estate too. Did that have influence on you getting those deals with the European countries?
Well, that was what it was. It was pharmaceutical.
Oh, okay. So
commercial real estate.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah. I was actually doing like selling drugs, legal drugs.
We were selling buildings and designing buildings.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then that's my husband's a builder, so that's kind of how I got into real estate. I got laid off from my pharmaceutical job, and I was, I was kind of happy about it because I hated pharmaceutical sales. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was much more of a entrepreneur mindset than a corporate mindset person. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel like a lot of people get into real estate because they have some sort of, like construction influence there too. But it makes sense because there's so many agents that get into the business that, I mean, I didn't have any construction knowledge or experience. I thankfully had my husband to rely on, but that wow, does that make a difference in your career, actually knowing the construction process and being able to talk to that just makes the job a lot easier, in my opinion,
well,
looking back.
I was really lucky because when I got into real estate, I already had about 10, 15 years of sales experience selling high-end $1 million buildings. So selling residential real estate was simple for me. So I already knew how to nurture leads. I already knew how to make phone calls. I already knew what to say, how to say it.
Yeah.
And I already had a track record of sales. So a lot of my sphere and friends would use me because they knew Phil knew how to negotiate and he could sell.
Right.
So I had a little bit of an advantage over someone just getting straight in real estate.
Yeah.
I think my first 6 months in, I did about 50 deals.
Nice.
My second year, I did 70 deals. My third year, I did 81 deals. And then I started growing a team. And we got around 100 to 125 deals. And then I realized, if I'm doing 90% of it, I really don't need this massive team.
Yeah.
This massive responsibility. Trying to make sure I could keep enough leads on their plate, coach them, hold them accountable. It started to affect my sales. So I started selling less and less and less.
Yeah.
So they could sell more and more and more. And I started making less and less and less, just trying to feed them. And then when the economy started shifting again with higher interest rates, I said, I've been doing this wrong. Every year I'm making less, but doing more. So I kind of simplified it again and made it very simple and easy.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of, I've been seeing a lot of trends of people going more towards micro teams where you have like, you're the listing agent and then you have a buyer's agent and that's like your team, and then you have, maybe an admin. That's kind of, I feel like has been a lot of like, even if you have a bigger team, you have a micro team within. So that, I don't know. I think that makes sense. I want to come back to that, but I did want to ask, so I guess from the time you got into residential real estate until now, what did your lead generation look like then? And then how has that transitioned to now?
Well, when I first got in, it was just me, and I've always been like a phone call warrior. So, I'd start my day at 8 a.m. and I would work to 7 p.m. on the phones if I didn't have any appointments. I would, on average, talk to about 50 people a day, 6 days a week. Nice. And I did that for about 3 years. So with those kind of numbers, when you're talking that many people, you really have no chance but to succeed.
Yeah.
So I did that for 3 years. Then when I started growing the team, my conversations got less and less because they were more based talking to my employees. Now that I have kind of, like you said, going back to like a micro team, I'm doing the same thing all over again to be successful. I talk to not 50 anymore, but I talk to probably about 25 people to 30 people a day on average.
Okay.
Not 6 days a week anymore. I do it about 5 days now. And on Saturdays, I do open houses still. And then Sundays I take off. For like today, I worked all weekend, so I'm taking the day off.
Nice.
Because I try to have
joining us today on your day off too.
Yes.
Well, I try to have non-negotiables. My life, I didn't do that for a while. It kind of burned me out and started to affect my health. So now, like, I'm going to work out daily. That's a non-negotiable. I'm going to work out before I go to work. Even if I don't show up to work at 12 p.m., my workout's going to happen first. Because for me, if I don't get that in before my day starts, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, same. I'm with you on that.
Like me and my wife, we have date night once a week, every week, for 3 hours, no phones at all with us. So we don't have phones with us at all during that date night. That's really important to us. And then I try to eat 4 or 5 meals a day and take all my vitamins because I realized if I don't feel healthy, if I don't feel good, it really suffers. Business suffer a lot.
The health is wealth. And I've just been hearing a lot of people, I guess, like kind of like a Brendan Burchard or like the self-development people say that, if you have all those non-negotiables in your personal life, it ends up reflecting in your business life. And so like people say, the more I work out and make time for that, the better my business is. Yep. And then, vice versa when they're not. So that makes sense.
Well, as a realtor, and if you're, a successful realtor, it's all about being sociable too, right? I mean, if you're at the weight room or gym every day, you're going to meet people.
Meet people, make those connections. I mean, one of the deals I closed at the beginning of this month, I met him at the gym.
Yeah.
Just going to these classes, and he watched me run down the street one day to pick up an earnest money check.
Yeah.
And still had the bands on my legs. And he's like, I need her to.
Yes. Love it.
I mean, those things are important. I think that's a part of my business I kind of lacked for a long time. I was so focused on discipline of making those contacts and those conversations. Yeah. I didn't realize I could get the same conversations at a coffee shop. So, like I was a big anti-networker. Like I don't have time to network. I'm just going to talk to 100 people on the phone as quick as I can. So I was leaving opportunities on the table that I didn't even know were there at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of like being most efficient with your time. If you're already going to the gym, if you're already going to the coffee shop, it's really just at that point a mindset shift to say, hey, instead of just ignoring everybody and being, down on my phone and focusing on that, I have the opportunity while I'm already here, to look around and kind of chat with people around me, chat with the barista, make a relationship there, like make a conscious effort. But I'm sure as you got more busy in real estate, it almost just happens too. Like you get invited to stuff, the busier you are and more of an authority you become. I feel like it's just natural that you get invited to networking stuff. And then again,
no, I wouldn't go. I mean, I would just tell people no flat out. Like, because I was just so focused on like, if this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. It was like a consequence, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was a big part of my business. Now, with the way the market is, with interest rates the way they are, with transactions being lower, you've kind of had to go back into really a serving business. You're serving others, and a lot of that business you're doing with these people, you may not get it for 3, 6, 9, 12 months later.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're really in a market of giving without receiving. It's like an ATM. You have to deposit a lot before you can get a withdrawal.
Yeah.
Where the last few years, it's been very transaction based, like just go, 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 go. Now, I may nurture somebody for 6 months about their loan care before they call me and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling.
Yeah.
So it's just a different real estate world we're in right now. It kind of reminds me of the market back in 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Which I honestly I missed. I mean, I tell people all the time, a lot of people are complaining about transactions, and I'm like, this is a good time for you to recharge and to remember why you started, what makes you happy, and to have a work-life balance, spend time with friends and family. Because once those interest rates do go down and the floodgates are going to go back up, and you're not going to breathe, and you're going to be complaining that you're exhausted all the time. So have a mindset of not fear, right? Like, oh God, I think a lot of people are just so worried, like this is forever.
Yeah.
And I just look at this as like a little bit of okay, I'm still going to do my discipline. I'm going to have my full
when I was teaching, we got summers off.
Yeah.
A little summer break during the winter.
Exactly. It's a good time to breathe again. So, that's what I tell
every year around this time, I feel like things slow down. Like,
yep, absolutely.
They slowed a little more this year, but most of the time they do slow down around this time.
Yeah.
I tell my agents all the time, like, just focus on having good conversations with people.
Yeah.
Build those relationships right now during the holidays. Get out.
Yeah, just enjoy it, Like I told y'all before we got on the thing, I'm taking my French Bulldog in a few minutes to go get fitted for a new harness because he gained a little bit of weight. So, I couldn't do that in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah. You're on your own, buddy.
Hey, buddy,
yeah.
Some weight, buddy, if you want.
So are you, I guess I just assume with you being a big phone dialer, I got to think you've got a pretty robust CRM at this point. Is that something you're also rely heavily on, like sending out email newsletters and stuff to your database?
So I do a weekly newsletter. It's very short and brief. And most of it is like, it may have like an article, a listing, most expensive, least expensive, and something about like a vendor. But most of it's like 2 or 3 sentences, and then it's a clickable link, because when people look at their phones, if a newsletter is very long, they're not going to read it.
Yeah.
And with those clickable links, it can actually tell you, okay, today you had a 50% open rate, 25% click rate. So I do that weekly, and it literally takes, honestly, about 2 or 3 minutes to do, because I have templates, and I just play it.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, everybody's been saying ever since the market shifted, get back to the basics. And I feel like that's what the basics are. It's like you said, having good conversations and relationships with people, plugging them into your database and making sure that you have regular contact with them.
Yeah, and mine's pretty simple. I mean, I keep it very simple. I try to add 5 people to my database a day.
Yes.
I talk to 5 past clients a day.
Okay.
I talk to 5 FSBOs a day, 5 expireds a day.
Okay.
That is my like must-dos, right? So that's 20 combos right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do whatever my follow-up tasks are, whether it's 2 tasks or 10. It just depends on what my CRM says that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I talk to 5 database leads a day that maybe I haven't talked to or never been able to get in touch with. So that's 25. And then if I have listings, I'll do some just listed, just sold calls where I try to talk to 4 or 5 people. And once I get it, I check it, I stop, and I move to the next thing. So to me, it's always like planting the seed and just watering it. Like I don't keep making those calls once I've hit that thing because I want to have something to do tomorrow. I don't want to be burned out feeling. So, and I do it on an Excel spreadsheet that's on my screen. Casey can tell you I have these massive 50-inch curved screens, 2 of them stacked together. And I split them in 6, so 3 and 3. So I have all these screens up, so I just tap and play as I go, and it makes it real easy.
Yes, got it.
It looks like it's an airport, but it's good.
So are you, or I guess so you have your spreadsheet, but then you also have your main CRM as well?
No, the spreadsheets where I keep up with the numbers.
Okay.
Okay, I had 40 dials on FSBOs, talked to 4.
Yeah.
Expireds, 20 dials, talked to 2.
Yeah. Okay.
So that just shows me
like your KPIs kind of.
Yeah, because what I do is I track, and Casey can tell you, knowing me as long as she has, I track everything down to dials, conversations, sphere meetups, sphere calls, past client calls, FSBO. And then I track my conversions, so I can tell you my ratios of how many I can literally tell you how many calls I need to make to get someone on the phone, how many people I need to talk to on the phone to set an appointment, how many appointments I need to have to get a listing. I can tell you to a science what that is for me. Yes. Then break it down to a dollar amount and say every no, I'm making $300.
Yes, love it. Yeah,
makes it easy for me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what everybody should do, because that's just that kind of helps you reverse engineer it, so you know like how many, like you said, know how many calls you need to make in the first place at that very first step. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I track it through something called Sisu, which is a platform you can buy. A lot of big teams use it.
Okay.
So I use that because it just converts everything for you, does all the formulas.
You put that in our chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can share it with our audience.
Sisu?
Yeah. So that works really well. It's sisu.co. SISU.co. Yeah, that's a great platform. It's a little expensive, but if you're really big into tracking stuff, it really is.
Yeah,
it gets no better than that. I mean, it's very visual.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna put that in our show notes.
Well, as I tell agents, the numbers never lie, right?
Right.
True.
Excuses are a dime a dozen, but numbers never lie.
Yes.
As Grant Cardone says, it takes longer to make up an excuse than it would just to do it.
Exactly.
So I guess going back to your team structure now, will you talk a little bit about your journey with that too, from going from 1 person to 17 and then back down to 1, like where your headspace, what worked, what was good, what wasn't good, what didn't work?
Yeah, I mean, so I've never made more money than I've ever made when it was just me, because your expenses are the lowest, right?
Right. Okay.
When you grow a team, there's a lot of, managing, micromanaging, you meet a lot of great people, which is phenomenal. Some do amazing things, some don't. What it comes down is software and tools. And if you run it like a big team, it can get very expensive. Like each agent on my team at one point cost me about $1,000 per agent.
Wow. So
when I had 17, it was costing me $17,000 a month, whether they make me $1 or not.
Right.
Because of systems and platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put my rent on top of it, we had a 2,100 square foot first level building. And that was $8,000 a month. So now you're already at almost $30,000 period before you even make $1.
Right. Mm-hmm.
you're lucky if the average agent, even on a team, does 10 deals a year. And then now if you're giving splits, now you're giving them 50%, 60%, 70%, whatever you're giving them, 80%. Now that takes away from that profit as well.
Mm-hmm.
All that's okay if you're producing as a team leader at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
But the more agents you have, the more time they take, the less time you have to produce your own numbers.
Right. Okay.
And when if your splits are too high with them, now you're giving them money, you're losing money. And agents, God bless their soul, love them or not, there's never enough money for them.
Yeah. Yes.
50%, they're going to want 60. You give them 60, they're going to want 70. You give them 70, they're going to want 80. You give them 90, they're going to want 100. But they don't realize not only do you have the expenses, now you also are giving them money on top of that. So it's a very hard business to make it. I mean, one of EXP's thing, I was an EXP agent for 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Firms don't make a lot of money. And what we've learned over the years, big brick buildings bleed money.
Yeah.
That's why EXP is virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're a mega team with 40, 50 agents, it's very hard to make a lot of profit.
Yeah.
And for me, it almost felt like a bank, like I'd have $100,000 come in 1 month, and then the next day, 99,000 would go out. But then I still had that $30,000 expense on top of that. So then that would come out your profit account.
Yeah.
Your net worth is getting lower. And it was like a constant wheel of just money in, money out, money. And it was very taxing on my health and my stress.
Yeah.
And I sit down with my wife one night and I said, this isn't what I wanted to design. This is not what I wanted to build. This isn't why I got in real estate.
Yeah.
I got in real estate to help people, which I wasn't able to do anymore because I was helping realtors.
Right.
I had a big passion for coaching and I love coaching. So what I've done is I've gone back to me, one guy, a part-time guy, and my assistant, and then I coach on the side because coaching fills my heart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you've been able to structure that where you can still feel like you're helping clients and then also still like helping agents some too, but in a way that's better for you in your health.
Yeah. And, that actually has a profit to it. Right.
Yeah.
So, it's just, and everybody, that's why real estate's so amazing because everybody's journey is different.
Right.
And there's not one way to sell real estate. I'm a big phone call dude. I got a lot of my friends who are big social media people. They get most of their business from social media.
Right.
You got people like Casey who just everyone knows and loves. And she gets it from just her personality and just being Casey.
Yeah.
There's no one way to do it. That's what's so amazing about it. And you kind of just have to find over the years
what works for you and makes you happy.
Yeah. And it's going to change. When I was young, when I was in my 30s, I wanted that big, massive team. I had an ego. I wanted everybody to know who I was. Now that I'm in my 40s, I don't care if you know me at all. I just want to have money in the bank, work on a schedule I enjoy, and spend time with the people I love, which a lot of times is a lot of my clients. I have great relationships with, so it fills my heart with so much joy.
Right.
But you just learn as you go. I mean,
sound like a Christmas song. Fills my heart with so much joy.
Yeah. Like when you're in your 20s and 30s, that's when you're really young and you're pushing at you want to be the biggest and the best and the baddest. You get a little older and your ego kind of goes away. You're like, hey, I just want to do a really good job. I want to make a great living if I can and still enjoy my life. So it's just a balance. It's just a balance,
Yeah. Well, and there's like priority changes and stuff. People have families or just, whatever life happenstances or just things you learn and mature with. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
There's no right or wrong. I got one of the guys on my team, man. He's still, in his 20s and he wants to be the biggest and the best and he's crushing it. And,
yeah. So I guess tell us a little bit about your structure now. So are you the primary listing agent and your other guy is your buyer's agent, or do you guys kind of do both? Or
it's more like a partnership.
Okay.
We all just do real estate.
Okay. Yeah.
I've always done that on my team. I never had like, you can only do buyers, you can only do listings. I was always like, do whatever you want to do. It all makes me money. So do what works.
Yeah.
So, it's just whatever they have they can do. I mean, I'm just there to still look over their deals, make sure they don't have questions,
Yeah.
things like that. But no, I mean, there's no guidelines on what you can and can't do.
But I'm sure you have guidelines on what it takes to be on the team, since you keep it a tight ship, sounds like.
We used to have guidelines. Now I'm not growing the team, period. So I don't have a guideline. The people on the team are the people who are on the team.
Yeah.
Because I have no desire to get big again. So, I mean, it's just me and my guy and my part-time dude. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, not guidelines, but I guess expectations for maybe like attitude, or you just already knew you liked working with their personality.
That's been working for me for years when we were a big giant team.
Okay.
So it's different. These guys have been with me a very long time.
Okay. Yeah. So you already know you.
I got rid of everybody and kept certain people for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was your biggest reason for keeping them?
That's a good way to put it. One of my main reasons for keeping, one was loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
One was work ethic and drive. Two was they don't need me to hold their hands and babysit them.
Right.
Because I just don't have the time, capacity, or emotional intelligence to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who I am. I'm very much am what I am who I am, and what you see is what you get with me. I'm nothing different than that. So it was just the right guys that were built a lot like I was built. Grew up the way I grew up.
Your morals are aligned.
Yeah, and like the way I grew up extremely poor on a farm, didn't have much, had to work my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
My top buyer agent built the same way. He grew up on a farm, didn't have much. Everything he has, he worked for. So I don't have to check their metrics every day. I don't know, did you make phone calls?
Yeah.
They know if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Right.
I learned a long time ago, you cannot motivate people. That's the biggest BS you're ever going to learn in your life.
Yeah.
You have to be self-driven.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has the same goal and desires, and not everybody is driven by the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I was a young man, I was very driven by money because I never had any. There's something that happens to you when you make $100,000 in 1 month. Changes your whole outlook on life.
Yeah.
Changes your whole outlook on your mindset on things. And then you get older and you realize, okay, I've made money. Money's great. It's fun. It comes, it goes. Then that doesn't motivate you. And that was like a big midlife crisis I had. I was like, well, now what? What's next? And I struggled with that for months and months and months. Like, I was making a lot of money. So like, I wasn't happy. It was boring. Everything was very boring to me. Then I had to kind of go back into, okay, why did I really get in real estate? And that was to just hang out with people, have great conversations, and help people when I can.
Yeah.
And now I found my happiness again. And what I realized, if you do the right things, money always comes.
Right. I'm same. Yeah.
But you realize too, I mean, you got people that make $40,000 a year who are millionaires, and you got people who make $1 million a year who are completely broke. It's not really how much money you make; it's what you do with the money you do make, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a reason to save. Save.
Yeah.
So because I used to have the mindset, well, I don't care how much money I spend because I can just make more money. I know how to make money. Money's easy. That was a terrible mindset. Yeah, you can make more money, but why kill yourself to make it when you can make your money make money for you?
Right. Yep.
So it's just learning. It's just always growing and developing. I try to read like a book a month. I'm a really big reader, and I'm always trying to grow and be a better human, be a better friend, be a better son, be a better husband, be a better team leader, be a better salesperson, be a better realtor. I've always had a big passion for learning, because growing up, I grew up dyslexic and I couldn't read until I was like 7.
Wow.
And then by the time I was like 10, I was reading at a 12th grade level. And then I went to college and got 2 degrees because growing up, people told me I couldn't do those things. You know, you're not going to be much in life. You're not going to amount to much. You don't have it.
Yeah.
When people tell you you can't do something, that puts a fire in your belly that you almost can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so it's just, you know, just what drives you. And for me, a lot of my drive growing up and still to this day is just failure, fear of failure, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of people who count on me, a lot of family that counts on me. So I have no choice but to succeed, because if I don't, I'm going to let too many people down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, absolutely. So touching on maybe some of, or I guess when we said having your money work for you, what have you done? Because I know this is a lot of real estate agents don't do this, and Casey and I like to promote that agents do. What do you do to make your money work for you?
I mean, I bought some land. I've done a few flips over the years.
Okay.
I don't own any investment properties, and I need to. That's something I'm working heavily on next year.
Nice.
I put a lot of money, obviously, in stock and just smart investments.
Watches.
That's my husband too.
Yeah, I bought watches for 10 grand and sold them for 25.
I know. But here's the shitty part. Sorry, I swore. But it's only the men's watches are good investments, not the women's.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, the Birkins and the Louis Vuittons, there's a couple that couple purses that are good investments. So
I mean, I have a few Rolexes, I have a few I have a lot of watches, but I'm wearing an Apple Watch, so there you go.
Has any of those watches ever saved the day and bailed you out of a situation?
Yeah, I've sold them when I needed some money in the past.
Yeah, it's crazy though. The return on investment. You know, my husband will show me like TikToks or whatever on it, and it's, I mean, the return, or like the percent return, is way more than what the stock market.
Maybe we should sell these bars and invest in watches.
I sold
all the bars.
I bought a Rolex in January for $9,500, and I sold it last month for $22,000.
Nice.
So that was how much growth in 8 months? You know, over 100% growth in 8 months. I mean, what stock does that?
Yeah, or even real estate sometimes too. So
no, I mean, I think you got to be smart with your money. I'm not a day trader. Never tried that kind of stuff. I don't have time. I bought a few stock that. So yeah, I buy stock that I believe in, or stock in things I use. But when I buy stock, I never sell it.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, speaking of stock, I haven't looked at mine. Little $20 I invested in a while.
Well, you know, I had a ton of EXP stock when I got in, and when I grew the team, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I was a 4-time icon. I got iconed every year. So I had a lot of money, and I cashed it all out, which was, I bought my mom a new car. I bought my mother-in-law a new car. No one was ever able to do that for them, so that was nice. Yeah,
that's kind of some of my goals too.
And then I invested that money in other stock that I wanted to keep. That cost a little more, so I felt like that was the only way I was going to get into that stock, because I couldn't afford to write a check for it. You know, like some of your Amazons and stuff where it was really expensive. Google, you know, stuff like that was very expensive. So I used some of that stock to get over there and that stuff. Which worked. You know, I mean, it's free money.
So when you plan to get into some investment properties next year, are you going to do any, or is it just going to be buy and hold, or with your construction background, do you plan to do?
No.
Okay. Do you
I don't have time for that.
Do you still do any construction in the background?
My family still does. I don't.
Okay.
No, and I have no desire to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
A lot of babysitting.
I've got a very pampered life now. So I'm trying to get
I know,
some
but you've
things.
worked hard to create it that way, I'm sure.
Yes,
So from what
exactly.
it sounds like. So.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm probably just going to buy and hold. My goal is to buy one or two a year. Because I sell real estate basically from the coast all the way to Fayetteville, all the way, pretty much all of Eastern North Carolina, basically.
Nice.
And all of this area as well. So I'll buy stuff out that way where you can get it a lot less expensive.
Yeah. Yes.
Buy them in cash and make them rentals.
Yeah.
So now I'm making profit from day one, but I'm also making appreciation profit. So
yes. Yeah. So with your construction background, are you representing a lot of other builders in the area, or typically?
I've actually never got into that. I'm actually just started kind of working on that. I was so busy in the transaction game for so many years. I didn't really have a lot of time for that kind of stuff. But now with the market being the way it is, I can kind of focus on building some deeper relationships or have a little bit longer term ROI on them. So I'm talking to a few builders now, and we're working with a guy in Sanford who does about 200 homes a year. We're hoping to get some of that in the next few months. And a lot of that's from my buyer agent. He's got a really big footprint out there.
Nice.
Who I promoted to my partner. So now he's a partner in the company.
And what is your company name?
So I was gonna say, talk about your branding, because it's actually really good.
So we used to be Demuth Realty Group after my last name. I'll never name a company after me again.
Same.
So now we're Aspire Real Estate.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. So we have like Aspire Raleigh, Aspire Durham. So it's just little catchy stuff. And that's really something that's really big to us because we're really big in the community and wanting to give back and being something of good. So
Halle, it kind of reminds me of your name, Empower.
I know it did. Yeah. So I'm Empower. Where am I? Empower Real Estate Group.
I love it. Something that has, a meaning to it. And, so year 2 into real estate, I regretted making it my name. Because when I was getting real big and how those agents, I wanted them to be able to brand themselves.
Right. Yes.
But so I was thinking of changing or rebranding and changing, but like everybody already knew Demuth Realty Group, and it was a lot. So we just were like, no, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. And then about a year ago, we left EXP and started our own firm completely called Aspire Real Estate. Well, when I got rid of the company and basically dismantled it, I made Aspire my team and kept the branding.
Yeah.
Dissolved Demuth Realty Group completely.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I go to listing appointments, people are like, you used to be Demuth. What happened? I just tell them. They don't care. I mean, it's a
yeah.
They're like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's no different. But now that I have a full-time business partner, it's nice that it's not my name anymore.
Yeah, easier for him to be able to brand himself into it too.
Yeah. But and like I said, he's a lot younger than me, so as the older I get, I am going to want to slow down. Or he's going to want to keep going, so it kind of gives him longevity in a future, which is awesome.
Yeah, to be able to take it over.
Yeah,
awesome.
Really cool for me to help change his life as much as I've changed his life over the years.
Yeah.
So that's very fulfilling.
The legacy going.
Yeah, most definitely. Real estate, like I said, I mean, I couldn't imagine ever doing anything else. I know a lot of people have kind of jumped out of ship with the market being as hard as it is, but I was telling someone the other day, I was like, I would get fired tomorrow if I had to go back to a 9-to-5 job.
Same.
They would fire me quick.
Yeah.
So, I can't, this is where I'm supposed to be. So
yeah, absolutely.
And you're good at it. So
I try. Thank you. Good people hang out together, right?
That's right. Me and him, we bonded. So,
Love it.
Yeah. When I first came to get in the office she's in, she was outside and we started talking. I said, hey, I'm interested in the building. Told her what I did, and she was just the sweetest human about it. Because, I was a competitor at that time. She didn't know me, but she, Casey has the same mindset I have. We don't really believe in competitors. We're all realtors just trying to help each other.
how do we work together? How do we
there's enough business to go around.
Yeah, and you get a lot of these young realtors who want to make it like difficult because that's what they've seen on TV, and that's really just not the reality of real estate. Our job as realtors is to help the deal get through.
Yes.
So take your egos out of it and you help each other, because if you help each other, you're doing what's best for your clients because you're making the transaction smoother instead of making it rigid.
Yes.
So some of these younger agents really need to learn that, but they will as they get older and scar tissue and doing it longer and longer.
Yes.
The name you have and how you treat people is how you're going to be remembered. And, one thing I try to do is always be easy to work with. And when I have listings, people love coming to them because they're like, feels great to work with.
Right.
So it's just important to treat people with respect.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a good hack, tip, trick, whatever you want to call it right there. Shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we've had anybody say that on our podcast. So
no, and I'm hearing more and more, like when you hear people talk from like at the EXP conferences and stuff, they talk more and more about how work together, not against each other.
Yeah.
You're supposed to create like less drama.
There's enough people to go around.
So why make your job hard? Real estate's already hard in general because there's a lot of things you can't control.
Yeah.
The contact sports, it's a very much sales driven activity. So it already has such a high level of stress to it already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about it, realtors have one of the highest divorce rates, one of the highest depression rates, suicide rates. So why would we, on top of all that, try to be, pardon my language, dicks, right? Why be rude? Like, where's it going to get you? Like, you get some of these agents. You get some of these agents, and I'm not going to say names, but they're really big agents, and their ego's bigger than my house I live in. Their head's bigger than my house, and they start to believe their own hype sometimes that they hear in their own marketing, and they try to walk on water. And it's just like, dude, you're selling real estate. You're not curing cancer. You're not pulling kids out of burning buildings. You're selling a freaking house. I mean, good for you. Like, a lot of them have that Napoleon complex. It's just crazy to me. And I mean, I was that way when I first started. I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I had something to prove.
Yeah.
But you get older and you're like, man, you can have that.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like you can still have that. Like, I have something to prove, but I can still be a nice and decent human being and not cause drama or be ugly. Like,
like internal.
That doesn't have to be coexist together.
And it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank or how many deals you do. Either you're a good human or you're not.
Yeah.
And
that's what people care about,
right? Like, you have to be careful in life because if you act that way, you will be humbled somehow.
Yeah.
So you gotta. I'm a firm believer in trying to make everybody's day better, not worse.
Yes, agreed.
You don't want to wake up and say, "I want to ruin your day today, Phillip."
Yeah, I don't want to be that. You don't want to be that guy when people see you, they literally turn the opposite way.
Yeah, we'll leave that up to the government to do that.
We'll let them do that. You don't want to be that guy every time you see him. You're like.
That happened to me yesterday. My neighbor, I was out at brunch with two of my neighbors, good friends of mine, and she went in to use the restroom and got caught up by some other people that live here. And I walked in and I walked right back out. I was like, she's on her own. What's your luck?
You know how it is, man. Energy, like it either feeds it or it pulls it out of you.
Yeah, it's like I'm having a great Sunday. Why do I want to be Debbie Downer?
I don't want that drama, right? Like, come on, man. If I want drama, I'll turn on the news. I can get all the drama. I can get all the I want real quick
on Instagram.
Yes. So as we wrap up the podcast here, if Casey, Can I ask one more question, or do you have?
Yeah, go right
I
ahead.
want to, since you read so many books, do you have one book that you could recommend that every realtor should read?
Is it based on real estate or based on mindset? I mean,
I think
you get
it
both.
can be either or both. Yeah.
oh, there's a lot of good books. I'm looking at my bookshelf here. Let's see.
I'm looking at the bookshelf.
Let's see what I got for you that I'm really big into right now. If you're trying to get your sales numbers going, that's a really good one.
Fanatical prospecting. Okay, that's definitely come up.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Obviously, Grant Cardone. That's a
Love
great
it. 10x rule.
Now, if you want something that's about, just mindset and being healthy, I mean, I have, let's see, where's a good one at?
I need to do that fanatical prospect. I haven't read that one yet.
I haven't either.
We have book club.
Phenomenal book.
How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Dale Carnegie. That's one of my dad's favorites too.
That's a great book.
Yeah.
And then, is there another good? This is a really short book, but that is such a
Yes,
good
that's
book.
a good.
Energy Bus. Okay.
Man, that's such a good book.
That's a solid one.
Yeah. That's like a one you can read in like a weekend, and it's
That could be 101 for realtors when they get into real estate.
yeah. I mean, obviously the Red Book is a great one for realtors. The $1 Million Agent from Gary Keller.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Mhm.
But, I personally hated The One Thing. A lot of people say read The One Thing. It was just so repetitive. I wanted to jump out of a building.
I know.
But I mean, it has a good point and a good purpose to it.
Yes.
But
Maybe have ChatGPT write you the summary of that one.
yeah, like what is it, like the Cliff Notes? Like
Yeah.
that. So I mean, yeah, that's good. And then I have a ton of entrepreneurship, but that's a whole nother level. Like if you're trying to build a team and a business.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great books out there. I mean, right now I think I'm reading what am I reading right now? The Compound
Effect.
Yeah, I'm reading The Compound Effect right now.
Yeah.
I started that like 2
Well,
days
they have that on audiobook.
I think so.
They do.
On Audible. Yeah.
The fanatical, what was it again?
Fanatical prospecting.
Yeah.
Fanatical prospecting.
And then a lot of people read Ninja Selling. That's a great sales book.
Mm-hmm.
Do not listen to that one on
Audible.
That dude will put you to sleep.
Okay, that's a reader, not a listener
That's
one.
for sure. Unless you can get like Matthew McConaughey to read it or something where it's got some funniness to it, or Kevin Hart. Don't listen to that one.
Love it.
God knows, like, man, this is bad.
Love it. Well, good. Well, Phil, any other last minute comments or anything?
No, I mean, I just appreciate you guys having me on. I
Yeah.
really love giving back and talking
Thank you
about
for your time. We know today's your day, so
Yes.
Now it's time to go get a harness for Fat Boy.
Yes. The little piggy. Yeah. Yeah, and guys,
Hello, meatball.
there's Enzo.
Enzo in the hat.
Oh, we love the Frenchies. He's so cute.
What's going on?
Love it. Yeah, and guys, we've got Phil's phone number scrolling at the bottom of the video, and if you're listening into this, his phone number is 252-916-2811. If you want to connect with Phil, any questions about the podcast, any coaching questions, any Frenchie questions, any book recommendations.
Also, I got 2 beagles. If you got beagle questions.
Beagle questions too. Yeah.
Watches, cars. I can tell you all about those things.
Yep. Wow. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
And this will be, if you're listening to this, likely you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If so, please don't forget to follow us, turn on your notifications, leave us a review. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Find the link to this on any of our social media. We're posting daily now with the links. So
yes. Yeah. And Phil, thank you so much for coming on your day off.
yes.
We really appreciate it. And I know our audience is going to as well. So thank you once again. And
Thank
thank you to our audience for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody next week. Thank you. So.